Welcome to Let's Talk Dog Business. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about what the client really thinks of you.
What we were discussing earlier, we were saying about how you can create a business and everybody, again, kind of focusing on the training behaviour side of it initially. Everybody typically goes into being a generalist. So you're quite easy going in, going, yep, I'm going to do puppies, adolescents, adults, the whole shebang.
Cover every single possible element of it.
Yeah. Why?
Because the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Because we feel like we need to carry those people through and they'll stay with us. So this is kind of comes back to our client loyalty.
Yeah, yeah.
And longer term.
Yeah, so you definitely had that fear of like not seeing them through, didn't you? And
yeah. In my mind, I thought that having a course that started, finished, there's potentially a gap in the middle of it, and then another one that followed on from that with a start and an end and a gap in the middle and something else and something else. So I did puppy, beginners, anything 5 months. So I'd puppy up to 5 months basically, beginners 5 months upwards. I did a follow-on from the puppy course, so you had to have done that before you did the follow-on. I did hoopers, I did some specific, I did agility, like foundation agility. I did some specific like recall loose lead walking workshops because for people that hadn't got enough from those courses, I could then offer them just a standalone. So it was usually like a 2 hour to 3 hour workshop, or it could be a 3 week mini course instead.
Yeah.
To work on those things. So I offered all of these different things, but it never occurred to me to just offer all of that in one.
Yeah, I mean, even you saying it now, and I know we've had this conversation before, I'm a little bit dumbfounded. It's like, what?
You've got that look of like glazed over eyes.
I was like, what? It just doesn't, again, it just does not make sense to me. So, I mean, it does in one way, because again, we've all kind of been there, haven't we, where you're like, right, I need to get some money in. Everything always comes back down to this drive for money because that's what we need to all live and survive. But you imagine it, right? Put yourself in a client's shoes now. And you log in onto someone's website or wherever you find the details. And you've got, right, so run me through again. What did you have? A puppy
up to 5 months.
Puppy up to 5, and was that a class?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we had a puppy class.
Yep.
Then
also a beginners class that was 5 months and over, no upper limit.
Right. Then
a follow-on.
Good Lord.
From the puppy stuff. So you had to have done the puppy to then go on to the follow-on.
So did you have to do puppy and beginner?
No, beginner was for those who hadn't done puppy.
Oh, good Lord.
Making this more and more complicated as we're going along.
Oh, God. I'm lost. Puppy, beginner, follow-on.
Hoopers.
Right, yeah.
Foundation agility.
Foundation, right, yeah.
Recall workshops. Loose lead masterclasses.
Yeah.
Then I used to do like, I just remembered, then I used to do like fun trick workshops.
Right.
Like festive one at Christmas and then a non-festive one. I have also done dog yoga in the past.
Dog yoga?
Yeah, it's more like warm up and cool down exercises and kind of strengthening and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I'm sure there's something I've missed that I also have done over the years, but yeah, a bit of a mishmash.
Did you do one-to-ones as well?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So, talk me through it. So I'm a client now.
Yeah.
I've gone on your website.
Yeah.
And I've seen all of that. And I've got a 6-month-old dog.
Yeah.
That I just haven't done anything with, and I want to do something with them.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing?
The beginners, the fun obedience is what I used to call it, yeah.
Okay. Well, what if I wanted to do the hoopers?
No, you could do that as well.
Right.
But I love it when you do this to me. I love it because I feel like it sounds ridiculous. The more I say it. And your face says it all. For those who are just listening, her face is saying it all. Yeah, they could do it It helps if they've done a little bit of training beforehand, but it wasn't a prerequisite. So I could probably spend a bit of time with them aside, kind of doing a little bit of just general focusy stuff.
Okay. And how often were you running these classes?
Oh, like weekly.
Weekly. So if I had my, what was it, up to 5 months?
Yeah.
So what if they were just 5 months?
That's fine. The upper limit was 5, like 20 weeks.
So if I was 21 weeks?
Depends on the breed.
Oh,
if it was a...
What?
I don't know. If it was a small breed, like, let's say it was a Jack Russell or, I don't know, Lhasa Apso or something, it would be, I'd probably let it in. And if it was anything like a German Shepherd, a Golden Retriever, Labrador, no. Because it sounds ridiculous again, but from an other owner perspective, they're seeing this great big puppy because by the time say a Labrador is 5 months old, it looks like it's getting towards that,
I'm exhausted.
Looking like an older dog.
Absolutely exhausted.
Like a giant puppy.
Wow. I mean...
So there was always my discretion of what I would allow in, but generally speaking, the guidelines were that.
And how long did you do this for?
Well, about 14 years.
14.
No, actually, I started with the puppy stuff for 2 years, and then I brought the rest in, so probably 12 years for all of it.
12 years of headache. Wow. I don't understand it. But actually, I do understand it. Because, again, I think... So for me, I kind of came into dog training off the back of corporate. So I decided one day that actually I really enjoyed working with my little husky puppy. And I wanted to do everything right. So I did, your bog standard kennel club, 6 to 8 week puppy class.
Oh, I offered that as well.
Oh my good God. It gets worse. Jesus. So I did that kennel club. What was it? The Good Citizen? Yeah, that. Yeah. And then I went and I wanted a private trainer. So I went down a route of getting a private trainer in, and I literally did everything that they were saying, and it just never felt right to me. I was told to bark at them.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It just never felt right. So I then embarked on my journey in figuring out how to do this in what I felt was a slightly better way, like just through genuine understanding of like how the brain works and all of that. And even when I first started, the advice that is, it's not even obvious that it's advice, is it? It's like this subliminal messaging that's out there that you kind of expected or told to, without being told, that you can offer all these different things. And there's so many different providers out there that will go, oh, you could offer this type of class, and you could offer this type of class, and you could offer this type of class. And then before you know it, you're in class overwhelm, or certainly what feels like it for me. I'm already overwhelmed from all of those things that you used to offer.
Imagine me in it.
Oh, good. Yeah. But it is, isn't it? It kind of comes back to that mindset bit of, well, I'm offering all of these things because I don't want to alienate anybody. I need to ensure my income, which I do honestly think that this is what it keeps drawing back to. I need to be able to offer that for that person, because if that doesn't suit that person, then that's money I'm losing. And as much as we've said money is a little bit of a dirty word, ultimately it all comes back to it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And for me, it was that. It was, I don't want those clients could go somewhere else. There was that fear of someone else getting the business.
Yeah.
And that thing about the networking and collaboration that we're hugely advocating for.
Yeah.
It's mine. I was resource guarding those clients almost. And so that client goes somewhere else. I've lost that client, and God knows what techniques and methods that other trainer could be doing with that client. So that was part of it as well for me. It was that I don't know what they're going to be doing with them. And then ultimately it was the money. Like, I'm letting that 80, 60 quid actually when I started go down the drain. And so I've got to retain it all. I've got to keep them, no matter what it takes to keep them. And it's like almost like desperation.
Yeah.
Like now I look back, I didn't think so at the time.
No.
It was normal. It's just normal. But it was desperation of keeping all those people. Like I started off with a puppy organisation. That's how I started my dog training journey, which had a lot of good points about it. But really what I should have done is just stuck with the puppy, and I could have been awesome just at puppies. But you're kind of told, not told, but again, like you say,
Yeah,
it's
it's weird,
subliminal
isn't it?
messaging.
Yeah.
It's like a cult almost of that kind of, you know, if you get to grips with this, you can then offer this. And when you've got to grips with that, you can offer the next thing and the next thing. And it's like this tree of things that come off the back of it. And there was rarely anybody that just stuck with just the puppies. Being a pro at puppies, oh my God, I could have been the pro at puppies, couldn't I?
Yeah.
And I didn't. I thought I needed more. And there were plenty of puppies. Like a lot of people actually, when they start with just puppies, they think, oh, there's never going to be enough like puppies. Oh, there's always enough puppies. There's always enough work to go around. But you kind of think, well, that's not going to be sustainable. So I need to add in adult dogs as well, because the puppies are going to run out, they dry up, and I need more stuff. And you don't, actually. You don't. And actually, if I'd have made an awesome, longer programme that covered adolescents and then young adult dogs as well, all those kind of issues, then bumps along the road that you get, how awesome could that have been?
Yeah.
And I just wasted that whole opportunity and went, oh, it's a 6-week course, and now I'll offer this next 6-week course. In the meantime, because my follow-on never used to just, it was rare, it would follow straight on. So they would often be, it's like a pyramid. So you get this bottom tier, and then it like reduces, the course is reduced. The more you retain somebody, the less likely they are to stay. Well, they do and they don't. So you've got to allow for the fact that you're not going to get all of those puppy people in for the next tier. And then the next tier and the next tier. So your hoopers would almost be your niche thing at the top. So I would probably run one whereas I would start a puppy class every 3 weeks, I probably wouldn't start a follow-on every 6 weeks to 2 months. So in that time, you've probably got a month where someone's gone, actually, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I've lost them anyway, probably in that time.
Yeah, yeah. It's I'm actually lost for words because I'm so overwhelmed with how much stuff that you offer. But it's normal, isn't it? It is so normal that everybody does it.
I'm not alone in this.
No, you are definitely not alone. And again, it is that subliminal message. So I never did any of that. I purely focused on one-to-one. Classes never really floated my boat at that time. And it was that offering of, oh, okay, I'll just offer. I think this is quite common in a one-to-one setting, that you can either offer a consult, and then you can offer maybe a two session package, or three, or maybe 5.
And that would be absolutely max.
Yeah, 5 would be your max.
Yeah.
And the idea being, the more you sell, so if you sold a 5 session package, that's heavily discounted as compared to the 1 session package. Mm-hmm. And that was the route that I went down. And it worked for all intents and purpose. I got clients. I wouldn't say that I delivered my best work. I wouldn't say that I enjoyed it as much. And I definitely didn't feel that stability from replacing what... I mean, I was on like a 60k salary with a company car in my corporate job. And everybody laughed at me again, like, I can't believe you're leaving all this to go play with dogs. I was like, yeah.
So did you totally leave that before you started any dog stuff, or did you do it alongside?
I did it a little bit alongside.
Okay.
So I did some evening and weekend stuff. And then, what was the turning point for me? I think I did it for about a year or so. And then I always knew I wanted to jack in the real job. The real job, air quote, the proper job. To go and explore this, because I knew that I could get some money coming in. I'd just got married, we'd found out we were pregnant, was really happy about it, and then found out that I'd actually had a miscarriage as well. And that was the turning point for me to go, do you know what, I need to do something different, and I'm going to go and make this playing with dogs the real proper job.
And how wrong you were playing with dogs.
I know, horrendous. But you know, here we are, like 4 years later, got 2 beautiful little boys, and I definitely don't offer those one-off ad hoc packages now, because it still didn't make sense to me. So even though, okay, it's a lot more streamlined than what you were offering. That overwhelms me massively. I really started to look at it from the client's perspective, and going onto somebody's website for a service. So if I put myself in a client's shoes, they are going to be calling about potentially a struggle that they're already having, or they've got a puppy that they're wanting to perhaps prevent anything from happening. I think it's easy enough to categorise it into those two main camps, isn't it? Yeah. But then to go onto somebody's website, and even if I look at yours or my old version of it, it's like, well, what do I need? And you'd invariably be asked that quite a lot, wouldn't you?
Do you know how frustrated I used to get with that question? And I would be constantly changing my website, get other people to look at it who weren't in the world I was in, and just go, what the hell? Why are people so stupid? Why can't they get it? Why don't they understand which category they fall into?
Yeah.
And maybe I was asking the wrong people, because they'd all go, well, it's totally clear to me. I don't know. It's the client's fault. Look, so again, it's that blame thing I totally can relate to, because it was always the client's fault.
Yeah.
It was never my fault. Hang on a minute. Surely it's like crystal clear. And again, looking back, it wasn't crystal clear at all. Yeah. And no matter what I changed, I had separate pages for different things, and I had headings that I thought were really like super clear. They obviously weren't. And it was that I have no idea where I should start. And even puppies under 20 weeks, I've got a new puppy. I'm not sure which thing to enrol in.
Yeah.
And I'd go, why not? It says under 20 weeks. But there was something obviously about maybe the messaging in the pages or what, I don't know. They couldn't understand it. And so I never once looked at anything I was doing was wrong. It was they were wrong, and they're just stupid and they can't understand.
Yeah.
You know, apologies to anyone that's worked with me in the past, but sometimes I would, get a bit frustrated with some people. But yeah, no, I never inwardly looked at it. I was like, no, it's their fault. They're silly.
And it's like you offer all this stuff like that, even though mine was a lot less, it was still like, well, you could have a consult, or you could have 2 sessions or 3 sessions or 5 sessions. And they're like, well, how many sessions do I need? And at the time, again, imposter syndrome would flare up and you're like, I don't know. Or you'd be looking at it for the wrong reasons and going, well, obviously the 5 package, because that
benefits me.
That's more money.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it from what actually needs to be delivered and what needs to happen. And I just think it's so difficult when you don't look at yourself as a professional and look at it from the client's point of view. So again, if you've got a client looking at or a potential client looking at your website, or wherever it is they find out that information, because in all honesty, you don't need a website.
No, you don't.
There's lots of website providers out there screaming at me now, but I genuinely don't think you need one. There is enough tools and stuff out there now that you could get by with just having an awesome social media page and maybe even a landing page.
Yeah. Which you can get on a CRM system if you want.
I don't even think you'd need it to start with.
I
got to 86k with a PDF and my phone. That's all.
Yeah, see, I had that mindset of I need a website. So it's the first thing I did. I did it myself, so the cost wasn't huge, but I spent a lot of time on that. And I did used to get quite a lot of compliments about my website, actually, because I'd made it all look pretty, and I'd get people that, if I ever spoke to them on the phone, which was quite rare, that's another subject, but I'd get people say, oh, I called you up because your website was really good, but then they'd still ask me which one they should go for.
Yeah.
So I was like, although it looks good, the information provided was not quite on point.
Yeah.
But it kind of fluffed it over a bit with how nice it looked.
Oh, do you know what? I did it as well. So my background was ad agency, and I was an account director. I was able to work in with all these massive brands and all the marketing stuff. And everyone always said to me like, oh yeah, you'll be fine because you've got all that knowledge. I'm like, I didn't do it. I handed it over to a team that did it. But I know what I needed. So when I did leave that job, I was like, right, I need to do this properly. And honestly, I probably invested about 10 grand into getting a website built, getting some adverts up and running, getting a bit of SEO stuff, all the things that, you quote should be doing. And it didn't work.
See, that horrifies me. 10 grand to do that.
Yeah.
And I did mine all for pretty much for free. But look how many hours I spent on it. So,
Yeah.
you know, you had all the hours back, but you outlaid that money, which to me then was like an alien concept. Like,
I knew how much it costed from being in that world. I didn't enjoy spending it. And then that pressure of like, oh my God, I actually have to make this work now. And then this is where things just wasn't adding up for me. So I would invest in Google adverts and I would spend, what was the ad spend? The ad spend was probably about £700 a month.
Wow.
And it scared me half to death. And you think, and I was only charging, I know my 5 package session was about 350.
So what was your one session?
I really can't remember. I think it was definitely maybe about like 60 quid. It's like nothing major. In fact, it just wouldn't even pay anything, would it? 60 quid. And yeah, so in order to even match and break even on my 700 ad spend, I'd have to sell 2 in order to get that, in order to break even. So technically I'd be working for free on 2 clients. So then the pressure was on to try and get more.
Did you do any Facebook ads or any other marketing?
No.
So it was all Google?
Yeah, just went Google because I knew, air quote, I thought that was going to be the best one. So I invested heavily into it. But because I didn't have all these other pillars sorted, so we've talked about mindset on a previous episode, because that wasn't right, this wasn't working. And because my package wasn't right, this wasn't working. Because I didn't have my values aligned, this wasn't working. So from experience, I know that the website and the ad spend and all of the fancy marketing stuff should come at the end of this. It's not something you should be investing in
and
straight
even
away.
the big business people you hear these days are still saying that same thing, going, don't waste your money on ads. There's so much more organic stuff you can do.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the big E people,
Yep.
you know, the really successful business people are saying that, aren't they?
Yep. Honestly, like I say, I got to 86k in less than 12 months by using my phone and a PDF. That was it, and WhatsApp. That's it. I did have a website, but nobody was. There's no sales information on my website.
No, you couldn't buy anything off your website. Whereas with mine, you could. You could click and buy.
I did trial that. I did trial it. So then once the fancy website bit wasn't working, I don't even know why I did this now in hindsight. It's amazing how much you forget, isn't it? You start unraveling
This is bringing it all back to you.
So then I moved over to
therapy session in itself, isn't it?
Session, yeah. So that web, I don't even remember why. There was something that clearly went awry in a relationship, I think, with the agency and myself. And then I created a Wix website. Pretty easy to do, nice and simple. I could dick around with it a hell of a lot. So like one week I'd be like, right, I'm going to put all my packages on there and I'm going to put the prices because I'm sick of people ringing me and saying, how much is it? I'm like, look at the fucking website, it's there. And then I did that, and then people would ring me, even with the prices on the website, and possibly say things like, oh, that's too expensive. And then I'd go, okay, I'm going to take the prices off and let's see if I get some traction now. And I'd be constantly, you could argue it was testing, but I wasn't consciously testing, it was reacting.
Reacting to what?
Yeah.
The feedback you were getting?
It was absolutely reactive to whatever was
I
going
did lots
on
of that,
out
reacting to the feedback.
Yeah,
And you should listen to people and you should take on board what people say, but the big reactions, they never work, do they? They're never right for you. It's what you... It comes down to those values. Earlier on, you mentioned about values. And I remember when I first met you, you asked me, what are your values? And I was like, oh, I don't bloody know what my values are. Like, I've never thought about it. And you were like, well, what do you really believe in? What do you want to do? And what do you don't want to do? What do you not want to do? So I was just like, and I remember thinking about them for ages, even though when one came out, I was like, and this, and this, and this, and this, they're all there, but I just hadn't brought them to the forefront of my brain.
Yeah.
And so once I got those values, you know, it was even things like, as a canine massage therapist, I know there's so many considerations with dogs and like young puppy development and things, and you shouldn't have them on slippery floors, and you know, dogs need traction, and you know, if the dog's got any kind of mobility problem, it's going to feel unstable on a floor and it can do so much damage so quickly. What did I do? Run puppy classes in a village hall with the most slippiest floors you can ever have. And I did that for so many years. And then once I'd got this kind of value in my head, I was like, I shouldn't have ever done that. Because in my mind, I knew that that was wrong. And I was watching them going, crashing into each other and playing with each other and going, oh my God, this is so bad. But maybe it wasn't that strong in me. I think it was, but it wasn't like I could be confident in applying the value.
You just don't know how to implement these things, do you?
So it was kind of there, but I didn't know how to bring it forward, and you enabled me to bring it forward.
Yeah, it is an interesting one, isn't it? Because we were talking earlier about what even the hell do we call ourselves? So like when you were saying like, I've brought it out in you, it's like, but what am I? Am I a coach? Are you a mentor? Are you a mentee? Am I? But like, what is all of these things? So within our business, where we are helping other dog professionals elevate their own businesses, we still don't know what we're going to call ourselves, but we do have our values, and we know that we can implement these strategies to be able to help people get to where it is that they want to be going. And ultimately, this is the important thing in your business, that you need to be looking at what do you want to be known for, essentially. Yeah. And I think answering that actually unlocks a lot of doors. So, you know, if we go back to those million things that you used to offer, gives me sleepless nights.
I forgot a big one.
I still love it how you put your hand up. But
I do that, don't I? I do that without realising. Biggie, what have I missed?
What?
The biggest thing that I used to do
You did walking in amongst all of that. Yeah.
So and do you know why I did that? So I had a full-time job. I started doing just puppy classes, and then I got a part-time job to work alongside, offering more, because I knew I'd be doing more, and one-to-ones, which was okay. And then I went, do you know what? Well, I had a bit of a restructure at work, and I ended up leaving there. But I was like, oh, well, that training itself isn't going to be enough. I need a filler. So the filler was dog walking and pet visits.
Oh, you can see why people get burnt out, don't you?
Yeah. And so not only was I doing all of those other things which you're like overwhelmed with alone, I was then doing dog walking for the bulk of my day. So that kind of middle of the day, those who are dog walkers know, middle of the day thing takes that portion of the day out. So all your one-to-ones and your classes have to be of an evening and a weekend, because there's no other time to do them. And the money that I used to get paid for doing really hard. Well, I worked in the Beast from the East winter, so it was a lot of hard work that winter. It's hard anyway. It's hard in the winter. It's hard in the summer, because you've got to consider dogs that are, you know, overheating and the weather. So it doesn't matter what season you're in for a dog walker. It's really, really hard, and you're stressing a lot of the time about the dogs themselves, and then the situation you're in with the seasonality and things. So that was the hardest part, really, of what I used to do. And I got paid so little for doing it. And again, that's like an industry thing. Nobody charges much for this, because it's seen as I don't know why, really, because it is a hard job.
Yeah.
And it is something that people are trusting you with their dogs to take them out and to go into their homes when they're on holiday. Yeah. And yet you're charging a pittance for it.
Yeah.
And so, there was that on top of everything else as well.
It is. It's just so overwhelming from everybody's standpoint, isn't it? So overwhelming for you as the business owner, trying to actually facilitate all of these different things and actually remember what each bloody thing's doing. I can't even remember what you said, so.
And I had to take paper diary then.
Oh God.
Oh no, I did have a book. I had a system for the dog walking.
Yeah, I also did have the paper diary. That was a head game to actually move away from paper diary to digital diary, but definitely worth doing. So if you're still on paper, make the transition.
Do it.
It's scary, I can assure you.
Really scary.
But oh my God, like it's just it changes so much. It will revolutionise your life, and everything needs to go in it.
Yeah,
everything
goes in mine now.
It's like planning that time out. But yeah, all of these things that we've done, that you really have to start almost compartmentalising it to go, right, how does a potential client view your business, and how do you view your business? Because if those two things aren't aligned, then it's going to go wonky on the other side. You'll end up taking on clients that you don't enjoy working with, but that's because you're in it for the wrong reason. Yeah. You're possibly in it for the money, even though we tell ourselves that it's for the dogs, it's for the love of dogs, it's for all of this. And might get some pitchforks coming at us for going at this
no doubt.
route.
Yeah.
But you can't, it's impossible to just do it for the love. You've still got to pay your bills.
Yeah.
Like, no one's saying that you need to be a multimillionaire if you don't want to be. That's absolutely fine. But you still need to pay your bills. And you still need to show your family, and if you've got kids, to show them how to make money, to show them how to have a world where you are in control of it and you can create something that is super special for them. It's certainly the lifestyle I want to be giving my kids.
Yeah, so I was going to say, that's what you talk about this a lot with your two, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
That they're only really young at the moment, but that's something that you really want to instill in them from an early age.
Yeah, it's
and
the
have
whole
that
reason.
work ethic, but also the balance of the work versus the freedom.
Yeah. I just think for me, you get one life, and I think we as a society are so conditioned to go to school, possibly university, get a job, stay in that job or move around jobs until you're at retirement age, and then what? Then you start living?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I would rather be able to show my kids and to be able to help as many people as possible to change that trajectory and go, you're doing something that you love, and that is working with dogs or animals, whether that's groomers, massage therapists, walkers, trainers, behaviourists, whatever that, or even CPD providers to a degree. If that's your passion, then follow it, but make sure it works for you and your lifestyle, and create something that is that little bit different and something that you'll be remembered for.
Yeah, because it is that if you're the go-to person for that type of thing, whatever it is you choose, and we talk about like the word niche or what you're best at, but it can be anything, can't it? So it can be, I want to work with a specific type of breed. Mm-hmm. It could be that I want to come at it from a certain approach, or I want to look at it in a slightly different way to what most other people do. It could be that you only offer packages or programs rather than standalone sessions or traditional group training classes. So whatever it is, it's good to be different. I mean, I think it's always good to be different. We always like getting called different, aren't we, in different aspects of life? But I think it should be like that. And again, it sort of aligns with your values. Like, I don't like being like everyone else. Mm-hmm. Why would I be like that in my business? Yeah. And yet for many years I was. And I was in this box of going, you can't do anything else. That's what you do. That's what we're taught to do. Yeah. And everybody comes at it from, okay, slightly varied angles, but pretty much the same, don't they? You do this, or you do this, or you do this. Yeah. Or you do all of it.
Yeah.
And
that's where I think the public, because our big thing is that we really want to try and change the public's perception of this industry. Yeah. We talk in industry a lot to other industry professionals, but who's actually feeding this information out to the public? And this is where, you know, we'll talk about it in future episodes on the whole point of regulation, but how is that a worthwhile thing to go and try and get when the public don't even think about it?
Half of these accreditations the public's not aware of. I think in 16 years I've been asked maybe twice what qualifications that I have, where I started learning.
Yep, same here. 10 years, maybe 2-3 times max.
So you go, we'll spend all that time doing it, all that stress, all that money, and then some of these things aren't cheap, and yet nobody asks you. And I wouldn't like to say what's the point, but you go, if your energies could be put elsewhere in other areas that might benefit you more, and I'm not saying not to do these accreditations, I'm saying it's not the be-all and end-all, is it? But I think we think it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it boils back down to what type of service do we want to be offering. We need to start thinking more like business owners, whether again it's a hobby bit or not, and going, what do they want, what do they need, and what do I want to be able to provide to meet that need? So if you're a groomer and you know you've got, I don't know, like some of these breeds, they need regular grooms, don't they?
Yeah,
like
every 6 weeks.
Every 6 weeks. So if we put that into an owner's or caregivers or whatever terminology we now want to be using, because that's always confusing.
Lots out there.
The human, whatever that human of that and that dog duo want to be doing, they've essentially got the air quote power or the control. Whereas it should be, well, we know as the professionals that that particular dog needs a groom every 6 weeks. Let's put a package together for every 6 weeks. Like do it on a monthly bit where you're getting paid regularly for it. It's the things that we talk about in our coaching programs, that we need you to be able to manage your money better, understand where the money is coming from, but making sure that it aligns with your values and a service that ultimately benefits the end user, and it's clear. Oh, I know then that's what I need to do. Sign me up, because it meets everything that I need.
Yeah.
Same as if you flip it back to your million offerings that you had. Honestly, it traumatises me. From a client's perspective, like going onto that website and going, right, there's about 15 different things I can do here. I actually don't know, which is why you're getting asked. Yeah. Because it's that overwhelm paralysis, isn't it? It's like, we think we're doing a really good thing by offering all this choice. Yeah. Whereas we're not.
It's too much.
And if you even think about it from in our world of CPD providers, again, kind of mainly on the training and behaviour side of it, because I'm not overly aware of all the CPD for walkers and groomers and anything, even if there is one.
I don't know about groomers, but
no.
Not really.
There's not really going to be much on it. It always kind of like fall back into training and behaviour. But, you know, look at Michael Shikashio. What's he known for? Aggression. Kim Brophy, ethology. Let dogs be dogs.
A whole multifaceted approach to dogs.
Yeah.
Genetics and everything is a part of her approach.
There's everything. We've got a spiritual dog person.
Yeah.
She talks about the spirituality of it. Everybody is known for a certain thing, and I think, again, we are either subconsciously or subliminally or whatever the wording is, almost telling ourselves this story that you have to be really good at everything, which is where I think this obsession with CPD comes in. It's like, oh, right, I need to know about aggression, or I need to know about this, I need to know about this, I need to know about this, I need to know about
reactivity, I need to know about separation anxiety.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because you all know who to go to for those things.
Yeah.
Whereas, put it in another way where roles are reversed again, so now you are the Chikashios and Brophies and all of that of the world. But from a client's point of view, I'm going, right, I've got a dog with this struggle, who do I go to? They haven't got a clue.
No.
Because
and we don't make it clear for them either,
no.
do we?
No.
So like for the separation anxiety example, I will deal with it on a low level, but I don't really specialise in separation anxiety, but I know somebody who does, and I would prefer to direct them to her, because she knows exactly what she's talking about and she does it day in, day out. I know some, I could get them to a certain level, but I don't feel confident enough to work them all the way through it.
No.
I probably know more than some, but I just feel like my sort of specialism lies in other ways, so...
Yeah.
You know, and that's my personal choice. And somebody else might say, oh no, Vicky, you're really good at that. I'm like, okay, well, I don't feel like I either want to do that, or I feel like I can fully serve that person in that.
But how easy would it be for you to go, oh, do you know what, I'm getting quite a few requests now for separation anxiety cases. Funnily enough, I know a separation anxiety person because all their marketing is about being a separation anxiety specialist. Go to them, do their course, now you can offer SA cases.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that's the trap a lot of us fall
Yes.
into. We
feel like it should all be ours, again, resource guarding, all of that work.
Do and you end up being, what's that phrase? A jack of all trades and a master of none.
I think that is very relatable to this industry, isn't it? And again, come back to the grooming thing. You kind of go, well, how do you have a niche in grooming? How do you kind of just specialise in one thing? If you were like the go-to person for puppy groom, pre-puppy, just getting them used to the environment, just getting them, because that's scary enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, somebody who just goes, we're going to do some pre-sessions, we're going to not do a thing. And I know that there are some groomers that offer 1 or 2 sessions of that. But imagine that was a whole programme, the pre-bit.
Yeah.
And then we do some of the real low-level kind of puppy grooms, it's very short, it's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes at a time. And then because you might then go, well, once they're post a puppy, what do you do then? Well, you could just then retain that client for life if you chose to and you wanted to. Yep. So it's your choice if you want to, or if you don't have to. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not a groomer. I've done like a basic grooming course, but I'm not a groomer and I'm not in that world as much. But pretty much whatever Joe and I say in terms of training, because that's predominantly our background, mine's like canine massage and physio as well, but it doesn't mean it can't be applied to every type of business, you know, in the industry, does it?
No,
it's not just for the training and behaviour.
And I see a lot of, again, whatever you want to call them, mentors, coaches, giving advice to walkers, saying, you know, if you want to earn more money, then you could do like training walks and do all of that. And again, like these are absolutely valid options. There's nothing wrong with it. But if it doesn't align with what you want to do, then don't entertain it. Just don't do it. You can make it work if you get the right support network around you and the right mindset, and figure out what type of life you want from it. Yeah,
but more than that is that public perception, which is why we've got a bigger picture of our goals, haven't we? Because we can say all this till the cows come home, but if we don't change that public perception and it carries on in the way it is, how is anything going to change? We're going to be against the grain, against the wave constantly. We want them to work with us, don't we? We want that public totally on board with what we're saying and totally with us and champion us and cheerleading us and going, yes, you do deserve that. You do deserve to work like that.
Yeah. We're going to be interviewing some clients as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
Possibly not even just clients that have worked with us, but just general public members to say, what do you actually think of this profession? Because I don't think it's an area that's explored enough to go, what do the public actually want?
No, we're just putting ourselves in it and we're not putting them in it enough, are we?
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about like not being selfish, that is a totally unselfish way of looking at it, isn't it? If you put the public first and what they need and they want. And you know what? These one session offerings, they don't help the client.
No.
And I don't actually care what problem you've got, whether it's just recall, one session is never going to cut it, is it?
No.
So for me, it just doesn't work, and it always did because I didn't know anything different and I didn't put myself in that client's position. But it doesn't.
No, it just can't. It can't. It absolutely cannot work. And so you have to think of that client's perception of everything, even to the point of if they're on your website and okay, maybe they have made a decision because they've managed to filter through all the crap that's on there and go,
all right,
that's that one there, maybe. Not sure. Maybe that's the one
I'll book it anyway and see what happens.
Yeah.
I used to get that. People who book it be like, oh no, you've booked the wrong one.
Painful. But yeah, so it's okay. So then how does that then potential client come on board? Like what is that process and how many people look at that process? Yeah. Because that's a massive thing as well. And that all forms part of this. I mean, we won't go into it in today's episode, but you have to consider so many different areas and touch points when you're looking at it from a business angle. Yeah. And you don't have to do them all at once. I think it's very easy to feel overwhelmed in that. So just as much as a client may feel overwhelmed in going on to some of our websites and then going, Jesus, I don't even know what to book. I just want to have a conversation with a human being to find out what's what. Likewise, from a business angle, which is possibly and probably why there is a few more things popping up nowadays with business mentors and coaches and all of that stuff being offered. But it's so easy to feel overwhelmed with everything. Yeah. And you have to just tackle it bit by bit. The micro changes you will make will have the biggest impact.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, you know what, that human connection is getting more lost, isn't it, in this digital world?
Yeah.
And we're not anti-digital at all, obviously, but we feel like the more that we do these, we surround ourselves with people that are wanting to make things better for other people. The thing that always hones back, isn't it, is that we need that connection back again. And okay, our sessions might be we're working with clients and we've got that connection there, but what about that initial connection? there's like a faceless website that you book through, or you have a conversation with somebody and they actually listen to your needs, listen to your pains, and you can decide in that, say, discovery call or whatever you want to call it, whether that's the right person for you. Because equally, why are we assuming that every client wants to work with us?
Yep.
We might not be right for them. So when it comes to that, like, it's a two-way thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not always us picking them, it's them picking us.
Just because they've got a dog with a problem doesn't mean you're kind of naturally qualified to do it.
We might not work well together. You don't know, do you? So, and even people that, you know, we speak to every client that works with us, don't we, before they do. But even if they don't, they always appreciate that first contact, don't they? And go, do you know what? I've been really struggling to speak to anybody. I've contacted a few and people, A, haven't got back to them, or B, it's a website you click through to book. You can't actually speak to somebody to find out whether you like them and whether they would be right for you, because it's a huge decision, and especially with our programmes, you work with somebody for a long time as well, don't you? So, potentially a long time. So, it needs to be right from the outset, and you don't want to go from one to another, which is what happens commonly, doesn't it? People that offer a session or two, they go, oh, actually, it hasn't fixed the problem, we'll find somebody else.
It's going to keep flitting.
And I've had clients that have ended up working with me that have done that and gone, we wish we'd have worked with you in the first place. So, we see that a lot, don't we?
Yeah. So what would you say top tips for our listeners are today then, my dear?
I think don't be afraid to, I wouldn't say be selfish, but I would say don't be afraid to really think about what you want and what you like doing and what you don't like doing. What are the things about what you offer that you really like, and maybe you should offer more of that or make that into something bigger. So any aspect of your business could be applied to, but I really think it's that I really love doing that thing and I really feel that makes a big difference to people. Do it.
Yeah, I like it. I think my tip would be to relook at your business through a potential client's lens and really see what they might be seeing. Because I guarantee what you think they're seeing, they're probably not.
It's a good one.
To be quite critical. Like, get out of your own ego and go, oh, it's fantastic, it looks pretty. Get out of the way and just really look at it as if you were trying to buy something from you. How easy is it to buy?
Yeah, another good one.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed listening to that episode today. Feel free to follow us on all the socials when the link is in the show notes below.